rattle, stairs will creak. Your outcome's looking pretty bleak. Thunder booms and lightning crashes, leaving boots filled with ashes. As we lay you down to rest, we read the pages of the Dead Man's Digest.
Greetings, mortals, and welcome to episode 5 of the Dead Man's Digest. I'm Darren, and tonight we have with us Travis.
Hey.
Yep, Nina's not with us. She's not feeling well tonight. But joining us from the Scare Zone podcast, the author of The Complete Survivor's Guide to Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights 2016, Christopher Ripley. How's it going, Chris?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. We have Chris on to talk about his book, but going to go through a couple other things first. Just a little housekeeping. We've opened a store over at Redbubble with some Dead Man's Digest merchandise, so if you can, please support the show by picking up a shirt or one of the other cool things we have on there. What do we have? Phone cases, jackets. We have a throw pillow.
Yeah, so you can sleep on us. If you want to.
Wow.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I think there's even a mini skirt on there. You kind of just put your logo up and they just take care of the rest, so...
Is there any merchandise with Lee on it?
No, not yet. That is too scary.
You need to get something, because Craig will definitely buy something with Lee's face on it.
You mean somebody with a bald, shiny head?
Definitely. Yeah, all those proceeds will go right back into making the show even better, and in return you get some sweet Dead Man's Digest swag. So we're also working on some more designs, which we hope to have up soon. So that's just another way to support the show and, let your friends know about it and wear it to Horror Nights for sure. Yep, first thing on the schedule, American Horror Story. They announced it, of course, the day after we recorded. I think you guys have that same problem over at Scare Zone, don't you?
Yeah. Literally, every time we post a new show, Universal always updates with something. I mean, even when we thought they'd run out of updates, they still found updates like, Scare Actor Dining or the Virtual Reality House. So, they always find something.
Yeah. Oh, that was too funny. But yeah, this is a pretty big get for them because I know Mike Aiello's been excited about doing this for a long time, and he's been trying to get the property. I've heard the director of American Horror Story is the one that's very protective over it, so it was kind of tough to get him on board. But once they were able to, it's a pretty good lineup. This is the Uber House that they talked about as well. So we're going to have 3 different seasons in here. Season 1, which was Murder House. Season 4, Freak Show. And Season 5, Hotel. So have you guys seen any of the seasons here?
I haven't. I started watching a little bit of Freak Show, but that was about it.
I haven't seen any of them, but it does strike me that they may be using the 3 best seasons from what I've heard.
Yeah, definitely. If not in substance, because I think all of them kind of fizzle out by the end of the season, but the cool thing about these ones are really the visual aspects of each one. So, and they're pretty jarring compared to each one, because you've got your traditional dark haunted house, then you're moving into sideshow carnival freak show, and then going straight into that really stark almost abstract hotel. So I think all 3 of those together is going to make a pretty cool and disorienting house. So.
Yeah, Freak Show definitely fits in the event.
Yeah,
with the whole carnival theme, clown theme like that.
Yeah, definitely. And another interesting thing about this is, I got to say it's a rumor, but it looks like they're going to use Soundstage 19 for this, this is the first time they've ever used that soundstage for Horror Nights.
They're doing the repository in that soundstage too, right?
Do believe so, because the meetup for it, or where you have to check in, is at the Blue Man Group Theater. So, and that's
makes sense.
Also in the rumors that we've heard. So that's kind of interesting, because looking at the rest of the sound stages, it's pretty big in comparison, and I think the repository is going to use up a very small space. So and they're not advertising it as such, but it looks like it could be one of the bigger houses for sure.
Was that one of the old Nickelodeon sound stages?
Yeah, that was Nick Soundstage 1, the one that basically didn't get turned into the Blue Man Group Theater. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, they've also used it for TNA Impact Wrestling. So,
I wonder why they've never used it before.
probably from the TNA Impact Wrestling, they got to hose off the sweat. That's going to take forever.
Yeah, they got all that stuff set up in there probably, year round. The big ring and everything like that. So it's probably kind of a pain in the butt to take down.
Yeah.
I do think that they probably get into the idea now that Halloween Horror Nights makes much more money than renting out the space for tapings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It just, for years they've sort of hung on to the fact that they're an actual studio that does make stuff, whereas actually Halloween Horror Nights does make a buttload of money. Why don't we just use this space for that?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
No brainer.
Yep. And with the lack of space and having to manage everything through the construction everywhere, they were going to have to get creative with this kind of thing. So hopefully, seeing this and having it work when all the rest of the sound stages are open and able to be used again, we can start getting 10, 11, 12 houses maybe, which they're going to have to, I think, eventually do due to the crowd just getting larger and larger every year.
But in theory, with the virtual reality house, we're up to 10, aren't we?
Yes.
Yep.
That is true. Yeah, and that virtual reality house really puts a stick in people's touring plans, because that's they're asking you to take 90 minutes out of the night to do that. So because I just recently signed up.
Well, you can book from 5 p.m.
Yes,
I found that, so you can get in there slightly earlier.
That is true. I just didn't want to risk the stay and scream. I think that was my kind of issue with that one. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing to do, especially if you don't have that stay and scream. If you don't have that day pass, then.
What time did you guys do, Darren?
We picked 9 o'clock. So we thought we'd get in, get the stay and scream, and then once things start picking up, then we'll go over there and do the repository, and then hopefully as things die down a little towards the end of the night. I know that's funny to say.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen. It seems to get busier as the night goes on.
Yeah. So, and then we'll have to sit in a couple of lines, because we're going to try our great no express experiment that night.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's going to hurt. And I'm already kind of terrified of the repository as it is, so, yeah.
Well, from what I've heard, it is pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Did you test it last year?
No, I did not. Yeah, we only had the Rush of Fear, so we were only there for the first weekends, so. Yeah, and they only started doing that towards the end. But yeah, that and the stuff I've read about the technology that they're using, it seems very, very intense. And my little Gear VR scares the crap out of me sometimes with some of the things I've used on there. So this is going to be a whole new ballgame for sure.
Nina's going to have to be consoling you after this, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think we're both going to be like just in a ball on the floor, basically.
Blubbering mess?
Yeah.
I heard an interesting rumor today. I don't know if this is true. This is just what I've heard. That supposedly they will take photos of you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, for you to
unflattering.
Exactly, for you to purchase at the end. Whether that's true, I don't know.
How many people do you think are going to have pee stains on the front of their in front of their jeans?
Just how disgustingly sweaty you are already.
Hopefully it's just the waist up.
Oh god, that's hilarious. I hope they put googly eyes on the front of the mask if they're going to take pictures. But I mean, that rounds out a really strong Halloween Horror Nights this year, I think. So just running through the list really quick, we got Krampus in the Shrek building, Halloween 2 in the Parade building, The Exorcist in Soundstage 22, Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Tent Number 2, The Walking Dead in Soundstage 24A, Lunatic's Playground 3D, You Won't Stand a Chance, the longest title ever, in Tent 3 / MIB, Ghost Town, The Curse of Lightning Gulch in Soundstage 24B, Tomb of the Ancients in Tent 1, and American Horror Story Now in 19. That is a pretty impressive lineup, I gotta say. I don't know. I might be more excited this year than last year. We'll see. But
think so?
Yeah, I personally I think it is. I think this is a really cool, strong lineup. Ghost Town was one of those years I wasn't able to go, so I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and Krampus, of course. After seeing that movie, the movie, as we said before, is not the best, but the visuals from it are amazing. So, and I love A Christmas House for sure. So, it's just
Dude, what I was thinking of, the big Jack in the Box,
Mhm.
in that scene. What if they just use put a jack head on him? That would be pretty sick.
Yeah,
That way they can get him into the event somehow,
yeah, maybe we'll have a little buddy,
or at least the makeup.
yeah. I think you might look for another Jack in the Box in that room. I'm gonna call it now.
Secret one.
Yeah. I'm gonna call my shots because that's where Jack's supposed to be hanging out. So, for scare zones, we have Survive or Die. We got that confirmed. That's New York. Banshee's Lair, Central Park, Dead Man's Wharf in San Francisco, stretching all the way down to the Lou Wasserman statue. So that's gonna be a nice big scare zone.
Yeah, I think it's gonna almost be just kind of like a V. I think they're gonna kind of almost connect, like the Dead Man's Wharf and then Survive or Die.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's gonna probably be kind of like a V connecting almost,
Yeah.
because they meet right there kind of at the Lou Wasserman statue. So
Yeah, definitely. Vamp 1955 in Hollywood, and Chance in Hell, which is going to be in Production Central. So that's going to be as you walk into the park, that's what you're going to see. Which was interesting to me. It kind of makes sense though, because it's a corridor, and if you're going to put a few stages up, I think that's really the place to do it. Last year they kind of blocked that off with the scare zone that they had in there with the big steampunk contraption. Body grinder thing that they had in there, so I think that'll open up the crowd a little bit more through that area, especially when the park first opens. And then,
it's better to keep those off to the side so that you're not blocking the main through traffic street.
Yep, and we don't know if we'll even actually see the actress that plays Chance, her actually appear in the park at all. But if she was going to, I guess this would be the place for it.
Yeah.
We might be lucky. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I think
Let's hope so.
I think I saw you teasing something about this on Twitter.
Well,
Yep.
I can't say too much, but I have heard from a couple of people, and they want to tell their own story, I believe, next week. But supposedly, there are very strong rumours that she might, after all, be appearing. But I think it's still up in the air a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to, right? With all the advertising with her on it, I mean, you almost have to see her somewhere in the park. I feel like it'd be kind of let down if you don't.
I just think it's a complete misstep if they don't have her there, really.
Yeah, true. So she garnered quite the fan base last year. It's kind of crazy not to have her. So, all right. Well, moving on for that, we've got Chris. Of course, we have you on to discuss your book and not talk about your podcast because you're the competition and all.
Yeah, get the competitors on. Well, technically, you see, Travis, you also update our Instagram, do you not, for Scare Zone? So
I do.
What? Now, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Well, you secretly got the competition already here, I think.
Oh, dirty pool happening all over the place. The Halloween Horror Nights community is a community.
Yeah. It's not like it's a secret. I mean, I put my name tag on every photo I update on there, so it's not like I'm trying to keep it a secret or anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm friends with everybody, man.
But yeah, Chris's book is great. This is the second edition that came out this year. Last year was for 2015. This year we've got the new 2016 edition. So yeah, Chris, basically explain what your book's about and how you came into the idea of doing a book like this.
Do you know? Before I get into that, you sent me through quite an impressive show notes, which I was really grateful for, and you referenced pages from my book, and this is the first time in months I've picked it up and actually sat down and gone through certain things, so thank you for that. I haven't I sort of forgotten stuff I'd written, if I'm honest. How did I get into it? I'd been going for a long time and always, like yourselves, always just loved the event. I mean, as I say, and I think Logan says it as well, we're not the biggest horror fans, but we are the biggest Halloween Horror Night fans. Mm-hmm. So, I just felt that the story could be could be told. No one had actually really done it before. I know that the art and design department at Universal had started writing their own version of this book, and then for whatever reason they actually stopped or got sidetracked or whatever.
That seems to happen a lot at Universal.
Yeah. They, I think because they're a smaller group, aren't they, than Disney, with the millions of people that they've got behind the scenes. Definitely. So resources are tight, and they got to prioritize what they got to do. But so I sort of kind of heard about that, and I thought to myself, well, I could probably have a good go at it. And it took me about I think it was just over 2 years to research it all.
Wow.
And then probably the actual writing of it, the actual typing up, took about 2 or 3 months of just solid sitting behind a laptop clicking away.
Wow.
So this year I've been working with Theme Park Press, and they've opened more doors for me at Universal, so I've got more contacts there now.
Awesome.
And then those contacts have sort of exploded since we've been doing Scare Zone, which is really nice. And it was when I first wrote the book, I'd actually approached Julie Zimmerman to be interviewed, and she declined. And then after the first book became a bestseller, she sort of changed her mind about it. And then I said to her, do you mind, would you be so kind as to write a foreword, like an introduction for Halloween Horror Nights, what it means to you and your involvement? And she was more than too pleased to do that. And we've kind of become friends now. We're on Facebook, and I chat to her quite often. So it's kind of led, we had the website, and I'm working on another book now as well that touches on Halloween Horror Nights. And it kind of just all snowballed. I've met so many different people from doing it. People that have read the book, like the book, people that have helped me write the book, people that helped me update the website. It's just gone sort of crazy, but all in a good way.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm very, very grateful, really, to everybody's help, and as well as Universal who help.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's great for across the board, because for people that have never been before, it gives you a really good solid background in history, and I personally think that's important. A lot of people are going to just go to the event because one of their favorite properties is going to be there or something, but I think if you're going to go, I'm the kind of person that will research a trip like crazy before I even step foot in the place. I know my way around a town before I show up there. So
definitely,
yeah, having a guide like this is definitely imperative to me. And it's also awesome for people that have gone, for 15 years like me, to have that reference guide, to be able to go back and say, oh yeah, that year, what happened that year? And then to have it written out, and it's not quite so much like an encyclopedia of the event, but it's more like a story of each year as you go through, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, thanking you for that. That's kind of the angle that I was going down, because I found very quickly on that if I tried to get down every single detail as you would with an encyclopedia, then the book would be 10 times the length. I mean, it's already 100,000 words, which is pretty long for a paperback. And of course, I've got to do 26, 27, 28. So there may be come a time when I have to cut it off and start a new one. But what I've always tried to do is just try to pick up on the sort of the sights, the sounds, the sensations, all the little sort of cultural things. Like, for example, with Bill and Ted, I'll mention different songs or different films that they reference. Just things to give people that little, memory kick that just brings them back in the moment. Particularly with songs. Because people go, "Oh yeah, I remember that song when it was number one." Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to do. I didn't want to create something that was boring. I wanted to tell a story, because it is a story, and every year is different. The years themselves, they have their own actual created stories, but then there's other stories that are involved in the book. Halfway through you've got 9/11, and you've got how that affected tourism. You've got the ups and downs with the economy and the footfall coming to the parks, and sort of the struggles that they've had with IPs and things like that. So it all goes in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives people a broader picture, and hopefully it makes people go, well, I've never been, but I'll read it, and then hopefully they'll enjoy it, and then want to go to the event, because at the end of the day, it's just about promoting. Well, I mean, you both will remember what it was like back in the old days. It was this little local event, wasn't it? It wasn't the big thing that it is now.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I mean? So I think it helps broaden its appeal and truly, say to people, this isn't like that one down the road where you pay a couple of bucks to go in and get scared by someone with a sheet over their head. This is a proper, Hollywood quality, experience where you will walk through and have your mind blown. So I think that's the other difference, is just trying to explain to people, actually, this isn't something like that. This is something completely different.
Yeah, definitely. And going through the book from the beginning, you can see hidden in those pages is a little heartwarming tale of a scare actor named Michael Aiello making his way all the way up through Bill and Ted, through creative, to become the head of everything at Universal basically now. I think he's one step away from owning that park.
Well, this is it. It's sort of quite nice to tell that story. Really, I can't really touch base with Mike too much because he obviously works for Universal, but I often find when people from his department leave Universal and go and work for, say, Disney or somewhere else, then I get the message in me going, oh, I really love this, and you need to add this, and blah blah blah, you need to change that, So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, because when they're at Universal, unless we go through their the proper channels, we're not supposed to have too much contact with some of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they gotta protect their masterminds over there for sure. But yeah, again, just an awesome book, an awesome reference. Chris, where would you send people to pick it up?
I think for this year, the cheapest and easiest way of getting it is Amazon. I know it is available. If you live in the Central Florida area, it is available in a lot of bookstores and comic stores and things that are around. But really, in terms of just in terms of cost and convenience, it's definitely Amazon. Excellent.
So yeah, definitely check that out. And we actually used Chris's book to come up with our main segment here for the evening, and that's a little bit of a Halloween Horror Nights 26 history. And there's a lot of themes this year that have been visited in the past, we'll say. Some houses that are kind of reoccurring, and some ideas and things that have been happening in the past. So I thought this was a great time to use Chris's book there and look up these previous events and kind of see what was happening around it.
Do you know what, Darren? Funny story. I'm glad you said that, because when I'm on Scare Zone, sometimes you'll hear Logan go, and what happened on that year with such and such? And I'm going, and it's like,
what do you think? I am an expert?
Yeah,
exactly. I wrote the damn book, so I didn't have to remember this stuff. It's all in there somewhere.
Yeah, and he always brings it up in front of Mike Aiello or James Keaton or somebody like that.
Exactly. Always at the wrong time.
Oh, that's too funny.
Tell him to get a book and have it by his side at all times, so he stop bothering you about having an encyclopedia mind.
Definitely. In fairness to Logan, I think he was the first person to buy the book when it came out.
Excellent. The first one that we're going to talk about is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The previous house, I'm going to say, was a little bit on the weak side. This was one of my favorite years of the event. This was Halloween Horror Nights 17, Carnival of Carnage.
That was my favorite year as well.
Yeah, it was just an unbelievable year. They had shows all over the park. Reading back through that chapter again, I was just like, oh, I want that year again, with the crowds too.
Did you notice that chapter's probably just slightly longer than all the others?
Yeah. But yeah, originally at Halloween Horror Nights 17, they had a house called Texas Chainsaw Massacre Flesh Wounds. And I believe this wasn't too long after the remakes came out, right?
Yeah, this was based on the remake, and it was over in the Earthquake queue, wasn't it? This one, which I thought was a perfect setting for it. And I agree with you. It wasn't the strongest of houses, particularly not that year, because there's some very good houses that year. Mm-hmm. But I did think that the setting, being that some of it was outside, some of it was inside, I think it was a good location for that house. So I'll be interested to see. It's in a sprung tent this year, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see how they actually pull that off.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of
Yeah, because they can use the chainsaws in the earthquake. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There will be no actual chainsaws in the house this year, or we'll all very quickly die of monoxide poisoning. That just might be their grand idea. Thin out the crowd a little bit. We've already got your money. But yeah, I mean, it was mainly to put Leatherface on that banner that they had, for the event, because you had Jason, Freddy, and Leatherface, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And also, don't forget. I mean, the previous house was a remake. Was the house of a remake, whereas this is the original movie. So it's got slightly different material to work with.
Yeah, and I'm personally I'm looking forward to this one a little bit more because you know how Mike loves his originals. So I think he's going to put that much more passion into this one for sure. But like you said, last year's wasn't terrible, and it was actually funny enough. It was a good house to go through when it was light out still.
Yeah,
because
definitely
it fit the storyline, it fit the theme. To have that the dusk still happening, and the best part of that house, in my opinion, was the Arlie Ermy impersonator in the bus. Just marching back and forth, yelling at you, and you got the typical conga line because right after that. You had to walk through a bunch of sheets where Leatherface appeared like 12 times. It seemed like.
Yeah. That conga line soon sped up, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But you had those people just hesitating at the beginning, which would jam it up, which would give him plenty of time to single you out and yell at you personally. So it was just a really that element of the house was really strong, and that's something that I miss. With all the sound cues and everything that they have now, that personal interaction one-on-one. I also like that in
like The Purge last year, almost.
Yeah.
At the front.
Oh, that guy was great. Yeah,
when he was there, he wasn't there very much, but
yeah, when he was. Yeah, one time in particular, I remember we had a crowd of teenagers that were just the worst in front of us, like from the beginning. Like they were using a disability pass, for 16 teenagers to go through, to basically their free express pass. So they were already bad enough coming in, and then they were just talking back to him and being smart, and he was just ripping them to pieces. Like they were all silent by the time that we went into the house. So. That was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see that again for sure. Next up, we had Exorcist. So Reagan was featured last year in the All Night Die-In Scare Zone. She was actually pretty prevalent in that scare zone, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Well, as I found out from Julie, Reagan's been unofficially starring at Halloween Horror Nights since day one.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, even in the first year, they had a bed with a sort of a petite female in a bedgown covered in green paint, being wheeled around the park, screaming and shouting. So.
Oh wow.
That would have been awesome to see.
And it wasn't Reagan from Exorcist. It was a girl with green paint on face in bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't lock down that IP yet.
No.
Yeah. And of course, yeah. This house this year is sounds amazing and really really kind of abstract. So
I'm anxious to see how they do it, man.
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah, we've got an interview, just to plug Scare Zone again, with the lady that played where she was Linda Blair's double for a lot of the scenes.
Oh, really?
Particularly some of the scenes that were the grotesque scenes.
Yeah.
And then she also played the demon, the demon at the end.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're talking to her. She's on, I think she's on the next show. It's either the next show or the one after.
Oh, well, awesome.
So,
Definitely
that's
have
cool.
to check that one out. Listen to this one first, and then you can check that one out.
yeah, don't stop.
You're like, what? I'm out of here. See you later. Yeah, the next one I'm gonna begrudgingly mention. Actually, it's kind of funny. I think it's come in and it's become as much history for Horror Nights as anything, except for Bill and Ted, and that's Walking Dead. So originally featured at 22 all the way till this year.
We were discussing this the other day. Now, the funny thing about Walking Dead is supposedly this is the last year it will be at Halloween Horror Nights. However, there's a strong rumor that the Terminator is going to get kicked out, and they're going to put a Walking Dead attraction in there.
Right.
So it's like it could be the last year at Halloween Horror Nights, but then again, it might be coming back full time. Period. So
yeah, as much as I hate to say it,
I'd be fine with it.
Well, as much as I'd say I'd prefer that they would take out Men in Black, or just like retheme Men in Black to Walking Dead. As much as I hate to say that because I love Men in Black so much, but
you will get sacked from UUOP if you say that.
Yeah.
You mean you'd rather see MIB get changed over to Walking Dead over Terminator?
Yeah.
Really?
I kind of
like the Terminator.
I like Terminator,
that much?
and I think they could still make a adequate shooting game in Men in Black. I'd like to see them update the game portion of Men in Black personally already. But yeah. I would rather see that more themed to shooting. I mean, like, and you know, to have the potential to have different weapons and things like that on the ride vehicle as well.
Like an axe and everything you throw?
Well, I was thinking more of like a crossbow, but yeah, sure, an axe, that's going to work.
You know, those throwing axes?
Yeah.
You get a headshot, you get like max points.
One day only. The new Walking Dead attraction at Universal. Yeah, no, but I could see them taking out. It's just, that theater was just so amazing for its time, and I think that's one true piece of Universal history I don't want to see them get rid of. You know, because that was the first theater of its kind. You know, to have that multi-sensory experience in that grand of a scale, and of course I'm a big mark for Gary Goddard's stuff. So
yeah, but it's the rumors for Terminator, so more than likely it probably will be Terminator if it goes.
Well,
where is The Walking Dead this year?
24A.
Oh wow.
It's like one of the middle ones, right?
Yeah, and like I said before on the show, I think this is just them. Like, we got a lot of Walking Dead props here. We can go ahead and use those again. And
I think it'll be all right, man.
The funny thing is that a lot of people message me, scare actors, and they say, "Oh, I really don't want it to come back." So I've asked a few of them. I said, "Well, why don't you want it to come back?" He said, "Well, I got cast as a walker in year 1." Mm-hmm. And then they cast me again in year 2, and year 3, and year 4.
Yeah.
So whoever the cast is, they've been zombies pretty much all the way through.
Oh gosh, it's like, what are you trying to say?
Well, exactly. And some of them are like, I am done being a walker now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, I could definitely see that. Like, it doesn't work for me personally. Zombies don't work for me in the Horror Nights setting, because they're slow moving, and the only thing that I have that to really scare me in a Horror Night setting like that is either somebody like acting like very intelligent and twisted, you know, and following, you know, ever so closely, but giving you that look from across the room, let's just say, and then, you know, jump scares, like really violent jump scares, and they can do neither of those. They can amble around and, you know, walk into a wall. They're great for comedic effect in some areas, but you know, it's just got to be so tiring to play.
Is that why you liked Purge so much?
Yes.
Because it was like a super crazy,
exactly. I need
in your face experience.
Exactly. I need to be completely disoriented, because I've gone through so many times through so many houses that I need something like the repository, you know, to actually get my blood pumping and get me like nervous for it. And
I don't know, man. I about had a seizure in that damn bathroom scene, or where, you know, the strobe lights where everybody was.
The thing is, crazy. Right, last year I went to Hollywood, and their Walking Dead, I'm not kidding, was actually really good. And it was almost identical in terms of the layout to Orlando. Mm-hmm. You know the scene where the kid gets stuck between the revolving door?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember that one? The Orlando one, they had that stupid waxwork of 5 walkers that they've built.
Right.
Yeah.
That sort of rolls down, didn't it, with the light effects? They had that.
Yeah, it's a hand cart that people have to actually push.
Yeah.
Towards you.
That's the one. And then this revolving door, I think there was one walker pretending to eat the body, and then one standing behind you. Mm-hmm. That was that. Mm-hmm. In Hollywood, there was about more than a dozen walkers.
Wow.
All hitting the glass, smashing, you know, moving really fast, making all the noises. You know, it was really intimidating and intense, that scene in Hollywood.
Yeah, I guess that's what you need. Yeah, if you're gonna have
This is it.
zombies.
I mean, I don't know if it's a case because the thing is they never use they can never use the likenesses of the actors, so you don't have the actual characters in the thing. You got the walkers. So if you're going to have just walkers, I think you need to have more of them and make it more intense that way, because that's what Hollywood was doing, and they did it really effectively. So I don't know if it's Orlando where we've got, last year we had 8 or 9 houses, so they're a bit stretched. I don't know, but right. Hollywood definitely did it better last year.
I think that it'll be a lot better, because I know they had a horrible backlash from last year that people just trashed it and didn't like it. So I think they'll definitely do it a lot better this year. If they don't, I guess it doesn't really matter, because if the rumor is not coming back, I guess that wouldn't really matter, would it?
Yeah, true. And then for the year-long thing, I don't know how you're gonna get people to be zombies year-round. That's a very tricky thing. Like, that's okay. It went from a seasonal thing to like, this is what I do for a living. Like, I just amble around like a zombie.
I feel like it's a little easier in Hollywood, because you got a lot more starving actors and stuff that want to be. Yeah, Not that we don't have a lot of brilliant actors and stuff in Orlando, but there's just a lot more of them in Hollywood trying to make it, and if they can do it that way, they'll do it that way. So.
Yeah,
that's why you have like the better meet and greets with like the Transformers and stuff. I feel like.
I think you're definitely right, because over there they kind of see it more as an acting gig rather than like a job at Halloween Horror. So they kind of they do. I'm not criticizing Orlando at all, but you do find that in Hollywood that some of them do go a bit too far sometimes. Not in a negative way. They kind of, it's like when I walked through the Terror Tram last year and it was the Purge theme, and some of them were coming a bit too close for comfort. And if we walked through when it was still daylight, so if you walked through there in the dark and they were still doing that level of how intense they were,
right?
I'm like,
they probably get worse at night.
Yeah. And then, another big thing about Hollywood as opposed to Orlando is, of course, it's a dry event. They don't serve alcohol in Hollywood. So I think the actors feel a little bit more comfortable going up towards going up to people than the ones in Orlando do. Because you're like, the people in Orlando are like kind of wincing as they're coming at you, like, rawr, and then run away real quick because, too many of them had too many terrible things happen to them. So. I think that might be a thing. Don't want to get punched in the face or touched inappropriately. Yeah, I tell you, I would gladly give up booze for that kind of ratchet up in intensity. But
really, Darren, I think you're lying about that. But
I would. If you want to drink before, you can.
You just got a pregame.
I guess that'll be even worse, because then people are going to go overboard ahead of time. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Beer only. How about beer only? Yeah, no, that's not going to work either. Yeah, again, that's Walking Dead. It's just going to keep going and going and going. Hopefully, like you said, this ends, but if it does, then we're definitely going to get that house, I think. That year-round one. Which is, I think, going to have the same problem as everything else, like Chris said, having a lack of scare actors in it, personally. But we shall see.
Right.
Well, the thing is, they probably look at Terminator and look at how much they have to pay James Cameron every year. Then they have to staff it with people that look like the characters.
Yeah. Yep.
I think there's a cost there that it would be higher than if they had, say, a house that ran itself with animatronics and special effects.
That is very true.
Yep. Everybody's always complaining that Universal uses too much screen, so maybe we can put a lot of animatronics in this one.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. The next one we're going to talk about, Lunatic's Playground 3D. You Won't Stand a Chance. Chance's House 3D 2016 edition remix XL. Oh, okay, no, that's it. So she was, of course, last year really the breakout character of the event for sure at Halloween Horror Nights 25 in the show. I think. And in the advertising before the event and everything, I think she was almost on the same level as Jack, maybe just a tiny step under, but I think in some people's minds she was ahead of him.
Yeah, she definitely seemed like she held the kind of whole show together almost. It seemed like it was focused on Jack, but also maybe a little more focused on her as well too. I don't know if they did that on purpose so that they can continue it this year, but who knows?
Sure. Kind of running things in the background, but her first year was actually Horror Nights 17, again the Carnival of Carnage. She looked a lot different back then. But it was the same actress playing her, so that was really cool that they brought her back again. To be.
Did she even talk that year?
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she had a couple of daddies,
not nearly as much though,
and whatnot, but. Yeah.
Did she sound the same? I don't remember.
I think it was a Harley Quinn knockoff. Definitely, right? Yeah.
She was quite. I remember her being quite loud and quite squeaky.
Yeah, screechy, almost.
But fun fact: there was one year, which was Halloween Horror Nights 20, where Erin, the original Chance who plays her now, didn't play her, and it was played by another actress, also called Erin.
Wow.
How about that?
Interesting.
The two Erins.
So it's kind of funny that she shares her first year with Leatherface, and here they are again. It's her event this year, and Leatherface comes back. Aw, isn't that sweet?
They're best friends, right?
Yep, BFFs.
They're two killing machines.
Yep, definitely. That's really cool. This house, it seems interesting. Being in a new location completely is definitely exciting. And I don't know if you've seen the aerial shots, but the end of the maze really intrigues me. It's like, like a wooden maze they have almost kind of going to the outside, like back and forth. So that's a really weird ending.
I think that's going to be strobe light crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. We got to have chainsaws somewhere.
Seizure inducing.
And of course, as Chance back as Icon, like you said, if the rumors or the stories are true, seeing a little bit more of her in the park would be very cool. The next one and the final one we'll talk about for tonight is Ghost Town. Originally at Halloween Horror Nights 14, again that elusive year that I did not get to go to, the coolest year where it's in both parks. With
the one Lee brags about every episode.
Yes. And so when he's sitting there crying about not going this year, he can rub it in my face still that he went, one of the best years that I did not get to go.
I get to do the same with Logan because he didn't go to last year or 17. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So I get to say that the two best years so far you didn't go to.
That's
awesome.
But yeah, Mike was teasing this as a requel house all the way up until they actually announced it. And this is going where Body Collectors was last year. I think a very apt place for it. But yeah, this is a house based on the old-timey ghost town. From all the pictures and everything I could find of the original house, it was very much a blue lighthouse. To kind of give you that supernatural, eerie feeling. But then using like harsh oranges along with that, which I think is just a really cool visual style, because they had like the fiery elements and then the really solid wood colored elements as well, and I think those two colors together just create a really cool atmosphere, which I think will work very well. And from what people have said, this was like one of their favorite houses of that year. It's the one that stands out the most on their mind. So
it's definitely on my top of the list right now.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to pick like favorite houses this year. Like out of everything, it's like I think Lee posted on the Producers Club page or the Dead Man's Digest page. What are your 3 most anticipated houses? And I'm just like everything except for Walking Dead, essentially. And I'm still okay on Walking Dead since they're doing 7 seasons. I'm kind of interested to go through it. Especially it's gonna be like a flashcards. I think
I'm gonna laugh at you eat your words this year. It's like, oh my god, The Walking Dead is my favorite house this year.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that won't be it.
Hey man, never say never.
The thing is with The Walking Dead is every year they do try to do something different with it, so they do kind of experiment a little bit. So some years, I mean, it was the biggest house they'd ever created one year. Last year they had real water effects in there, didn't they? Mm-hmm. It was the tallest sets they'd ever built. Which was quite strange. Yeah. So they do try. So I've just got this thing at the back of my mind. If it's going to be the last one, I really do think they're going to really try to go out with a bang.
Yeah, that's my thoughts too.
Well,
I think they overblew the one last year with saying it was going to have, those deep, where the walkers were going to be in the kind of water pit style things.
Yeah.
And they were just ended up being
like kiddie pools all to the
little,
sides.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it smelled like chlorine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Funny story about that room. They had a full-time lifeguard in there.
Oh, really?
It's true. It's
30-something
100% true.
people.
In case anybody of the public or even the scare actors themselves jumped in and drowned and started to drown,
Oh,
there was
true.
a lifeguard in there.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
They probably have to have that for.
Yeah, and also if you go under in one of those masks, that'd be a pretty freaky situation. I gotta say.
Water.
Yeah, but I guess the funniest thing that happened to me last year at Horror Nights happened to me in that room, and that was just one of the scare actors. I think they just gave up on doing what they were doing and just stood directly under where the water was. The water was just falling directly on his head, and he was just like sitting there sideways and just taking a shower, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was my best time through that. So yeah. But no, I definitely don't want any of the houses to be bad. So if they can do a great job with The Walking Dead, then I'm definitely for it. I'm just nervous about it.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty good. Hopefully, they'll go out with a bang. Like I said, obviously I like The Walking Dead more than you do, but
yeah,
I'm anxious to see how they do it. Like you said, hopefully they don't reuse too many props. It would be cool to see the prison again because I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
The prison area that they had
definitely
from a few years ago, and
yeah,
I think it'll be pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd like to see favorites. Like I'd like to see the bicycle girl back out there again.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things.
It's going to be a best of, isn't it, this year?
Yeah.
This Walking Dead house?
That's what they said, yeah.
6 seasons.
The house I'm most looking forward to is Krampus, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
That's high up on my list, too.
Well, we interviewed some of the filmmakers from it, and they were telling us about how sort of difficult it was to build the sets and all of the different things that came with it. All the puppets and stuff, because they did try to use as much physical effects as possible and limit the amount of CGI to try and give it that kind of retro sort of 80s sort of feel.
Right.
So, if they're bringing, because we know Halloween Horror Nights work with some, excellent puppet makers.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to bring those people into the frame and use them to build some of the monsters and creatures inside that house, I mean, that should be amazing visually.
Yeah, certainly.
They're working with the director, right, on that house?
Yeah. No, they must be because he's not returning our phone calls. So
that is going to be really cool, and I think we might see them reuse some of their models from
American Werewolf.
Werewolf, yeah, for sure. Reskin those. I was thinking Krampus's elves from the movie would make a really good fit for those.
Mm-hmm.
Be a good way to bring them into the into that thing and still use that because I know they spent a hell of a lot of money on those.
There was a theory that was posted today to me that I'll share with you now as a little bit of an exclusive. It's just a theory that someone had.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed how at the moment there's a lot of art and design people from Universal hanging out in France?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
so they're hanging out in France, they're going around all these castles and all these lovely sort of fairy tale sort of places. The rumour is, for the third gate, or fourth gate, however you want to call it, could they be building, now they own DreamWorks, some kind of Shrek land?
Definitely.
So, because that's, castles and fairy tales, and that's all the stuff they're looking at the moment.
Yeah, very
So
true.
could that free up what I call the Hitchcock Theatre? Could that free up a Walking Dead attraction house? Or could it free up a permanent, shop or museum or...
Mm-hmm. Oh, very true. It'd be great. Well, if they didn't, I would love for them to just bring back Hitchcock, but I know that won't happen. To make that a classic Monsters house or experience or something like that, because then you got Monster Cafe right next to it. I think that would be pretty nice.
I could tell you some stories about Hitchcock that are related to Halloween Horror Nights. I know one thing for sure. Julie told me that was one of her favourite attractions that she worked on when the park first opened.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also there's a trailer sort of backstage, but behind the old Hitchcock trailer. So it's still there at Hitchcock Theatre. It's still behind the Shrek thing, and it's called the Hitchcock trailer, and that was the room where Jack the Clown was created.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah,
something
I remember you saying that Jack had to go across Hollywood Boulevard, or James said on the Scare Zone podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess we'd have to go from there to the backstage area. Wow.
Interesting?
Yeah, we had to glaze over that on the show when we.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Universal do own the rights to Hitchcock. It's not like they would have to pay anyone anything for that. So
Yeah.
if they did ever want to bring it back, they could do that tomorrow. But at the end of the day, it's only people like us that are big Universal fans and sort of filmmaker fans and all that sort of thing that know who Hitchcock is. A lot of the kids today ain't going to have a clue, are they?
Exactly.
No.
That's why we need something like that to educate them. But it would have to be pretty mind blowing to like get them into it, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
That was a little bit of a rumor this year, wasn't it? That the Hitchcock house, or was that just from tweets that the Halloween Horror Nights sent out for the Psycho house, supposedly?
Yeah, well, interestingly, it was a huge rumor, and then for some reason, this is like one of the first times I can remember, actually Universal turned around and going, no, we're definitely not building a Hitchcock house. I mean, they never, correct me if I'm wrong, Darren, they don't normally correct the fans, do they?
Yeah, no, they usually let the fans speculate very wildly. All the way to the point where sometimes the fans have it completely right and they still don't say anything or even try to avert them. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. I wonder if that was, more like, Mike getting a hold of the account and, just kind of quelling that rumor. Like, I don't want you guys to get your hopes up too high on that because I that would be amazing. That would be something incredible to see.
Did you see the tweet that you remember when they kind of tweeted out the picture of Norman Bates, right? You remember when that tweet happened and everybody was speculating about it? And then Mike came on later on and said, if you don't see the little M after,
it's not me.
That's not me tweeting on the account.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the social media team probably got a little talking to after that one.
Yeah.
Just like, nothing bad. Just like, these people are crazy. They will, they will take off with anything that you post up there. So, yeah. Well, that was kind of fun. I was in a conversation with Universal on Twitter yesterday, and they were basically like, they actually came at Lee for the UUO podcast rumor mill. They're like, oh, you think since you didn't tag us in this, we wouldn't see it? And I was like, oh, yeah, we live on rumors. And he's like, well, what if we had the opportunity to put out some really crazy rumors? Wouldn't that be funny? ... So,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was surprised with how much people were saying, it would be a good house to have, a Hitchcock house.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of tweets with it, and maybe that was one of the reasons why Mike came out and said we weren't having it. So, as you said before, people didn't get their hopes up. But maybe that sparked something for them to think, well, maybe next year, we could do another Psycho house, because they've had plenty of them through the years, haven't they?
Yeah.
Especially since they own it, they don't have to get any permission from anybody.
Exactly.
So.
Cheap house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of going back into the past and reaching into these classic houses is really going to lay this year on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween 2. And I think Halloween 2, the more obscure of the two, is going to be the one that really has to bear that weight. That when the fans come out of that and they take that exit interview, for those few people that actually stop for the surveys, they need to say that house was mind-blowing so that, they can continue to do these classic houses.
Yep.
Definitely, because I'm telling you now, those houses, particularly like that one where you've got to answer to people like John Carpenter.
Right.
They take so long to negotiate. Every minor detail, everything has to go through legal. It all has to be signed up on a massive contract, and then they have to design it and then show everything, and it has to be approved and walked through. So those houses, they take such a lot of effort. So if we don't, support them, they ain't going to be doing them again. So we, like you just said, we really do need to say, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So even if you hate it, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Because we want our other classic houses to come through for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I don't think anything can be bad about Michael Myers running through a hospital. I think that's just going to be a really cool house.
Oh, goodness. I mean, last year, the one they had at Hollywood was really intense. So, I mean, the one they had before, about 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, that was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it the same layout, or was it slightly different?
What, the Hollywood?
In Hollywood, yeah.
The problem with Hollywood is, strangely, although they've got the bigger not theme park, but they got a bigger number of acres. All their houses seem to be very, very squeezed and put into very small pockets of land.
Yeah.
So that one it's probably, a lot of their houses are like walking through the sprung tents. They're sort of quite compacted and
closer quarters.
Yeah, so they're sort of, they usually have more scare actors as well, so they're usually coming at you from more angles.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very different event over there. But in terms of layout, it was similar, but I wouldn't say. See, the thing is, Orlando definitely does a better attention to detail than Hollywood. So the one in Orlando that we had, it did honestly feel like you're walking through the film, whereas with the one in Hollywood, it does feel like you are walking through a haunted house, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably a lot more jump scares, right? Since everything is right up on you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, yeah, like you said, they just like wedge them into the strangest places, like between two attractions, like an alleyway. Is normally what it would be, and it's just like a plywood jungle back there.
The weird thing is Universal Studios in Hollywood is Universal City, so it's classed as a city. I mean, it's like Walt Disney World; it's massive.
Right.
The theme park is kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Because it's half of it's on top of this great big mountain, the other half's at the bottom of the mountain.
It's a city of escalators.
Yeah, so you have to get 4 different escalators to go up and come back down again. And then to do Halloween Horror Nights, you have to get a tram to go to the Terror Tram. And then once you've done the Terror Tram, you get back on another tram that takes you to another area where there's 2 or 3 houses. And then you get another tram back to the theme park.
Wow.
It is really disjointed. And if it had the crowds that Orlando gets, then it would just be a complete nightmare.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it would just fall apart.
What were the lines for the Terror Tram like? Were they pretty bad?
The couple of nights we went, that it wasn't very busy at all in general.
That's good.
I think we went early October, which is usually the quieter time anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a real quick mention, Hollywood just announced their Terror Train for this year. They waited a long time to announce it, but it's Eli Roth designed about a washed-up clown that used to be a great children's entertainer and now is a serial killer.
Really?
The funny thing is with them is that if you go back through their history and look at their icons, because they borrowed some of ours over the time, they seem to always use these characters that are washed up somebodies that are now living on the back of the backlot somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same story all the time, but it hasn't happened for a few years now, so people have probably forgotten.
Yeah. And then, and they're like, hey, those clowns were pretty successful over in Hollywood last year. I mean, in Orlando last year, so. But yeah, it's really cool. They kind of came up with like a True Hollywood Story segment for it, so I would definitely go check that out on their blog. It's hilarious.
So it's an original idea then, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Straight from the mind of Eli Roth, so. And he loves Horror Nights. He loves designing these things, so.
Awesome.
See, over there, they've always loved the director more than the other icons.
Makes sense being in Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
I know, right? I don't know if it was on the interview or if it got cut or if it was on something else, but James was telling us about when he went to Hollywood to film one of the commercials. I think it was Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the director they used for that was one that they'd used for the Hollywood event.
Oh, yeah.
And so they met up with the actor, and then he had no idea how popular Halloween Horror Nights was.
Yeah, you're a legend over here.
Exactly. He didn't know he was on a T-shirt or, you know.
I think that was on the podcast because I remember.
It was on it.
Okay.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it back yet since we recorded it, but it's quite an interesting story, that one.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed the history segment. I kind of went a little off track there at the end, but you know, that's how it goes with us. You can remember to follow us on Twitter at Dead Man's Digest. You can also follow me at UUOP Darren. If you can't find that, just go on to Universal's account and look for Follower of the Week. Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's me. That's me.
I mean, I've got 2 of them. No big deal.
Exactly. You'll also find a little later on, a little bit more historically, you'll find Travis Terrell 12 on there. You can follow that one on Twitter as well. Christopher R.I.P., of course. Christopher Ripley's on Twitter.
I am, yeah.
Teasing little details and making people go insane.
Yeah, I get some funny interaction.
Yeah, definitely. You can join our Facebook group. Dead Man's Digest is a private group, so just request it and I'll add you immediately. And of course, buy some merch over at redbubble.com/people/UUOP Darren. Chris, what would you like to plug?
Can I plug the fantastically updated Instagram account for Scare Zone?
Certainly.
Very, very good update in there, Travis.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll plug our podcast, scarezone.com, plug our website, hhnunofficial.com, and then that gets the links to our Twitter and Facebook and our Instagram. And then our book, The Complete Survivor's Guide to Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights, which is available in all good local bookstores in central Orlando, or if you want to go on the interwebs, it's amazon.com or amazon.co.uk.
All right, so for Chris, Travis, and Nina, that's not with us, that's sick. Well, soon, Bubby. This is Darren signing off.